All right, thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we were speaking with a parent who is reacting to the situation on the ground after ASUU called off its 8-month-long strike, where landlords are asking students to pay back the backlog of the rents, and he was reacting to that. Sam asked you a question or said something earlier that you wanted to react to.
I don't think I can remember.
Oh well, I was trying to find out what is the problem with education. Why is it that the lecturers who are now seeking their own backlog of salaries, what are they doing to help the students too to fight for their own rent?
And shouldn't NANS be championing this cause of speaking with landlords, since what they are set up for is to address the interest of students? Shouldn't they be the ones at the forefront of this?
All right. I'm a business consultant. I have an entrepreneurship background. So I'm looking at it the way it really is. I believe that first and foremost, there are ways that government can come in, okay, to reduce this, reduce the problem. Number one, if you say the fees to be paid, you can say, all right, I can see that a government that feels, a government that cares, a system that cares will say, like I said about the UK, they are giving them, credits for electricity and all that. The government can sit down and say, listen, you see, this is a problem. I want to pay the lecturers backlog, okay? Then the students who are having challenges with accommodation increase, let's see how we can reduce, the charges, reduce what they are paying. It's all about thinking. It's about thinking, you see, and it makes them feel that they are cared for. The average youth has no confidence in Nigeria as an entity. It has no confidence in the government. And what do they want to do? They all want to check out. I played an old song for my children about 2 weeks ago. That one lady says, Nigeria go survive,
Andrew, not check out.
Exactly. And it was like, what is this? The reality is that I was a little child then, and it's not better now. So if the government wants to show concern for the students, it's not difficult to know what to do. We all, everybody, the top government officials, they watch CNN, they watch Sky, they watch BBC World. They know what's happening around the world. If we can cut down on those first-class tickets to go abroad and say, okay, government officials use economy. If we can cut down on those large convoys, an SUV, for example, maybe to fill up that tank might be about 25,000. And how many SUVs are in the convoy? If we can cut down the cost of governance, cut down on the cost on wastage in governance, right? We can push that money into education. We saw the body language of the ASUU, Shodeke. It was very clear that they are not even convinced that the government is going to keep that promise. They are not convinced. From what he said, that they did it based on trust. And it's not impossible that the government might not keep it.
Based on trust. They were also cornered into doing it.
You see, yes, they were cornered. Yes, they were cornered, but there's a time, like you said, earlier on, you stoop to conquer.
No, that was, I was quoting Wordsworth.
I know you're an encyclopedia on your own.
To stoop to conquer was Oliver Goldsmith. I was quoting Wordsworth when he said,
okay,
wisdom is oftentimes nearer when we stoop than when we soar.
So I believe that, we have to be fair to all concerned.
Yeah. But all of you have said to me, it looks like in the long run, what can be done, low-hanging fruits that can be addressed as quickly as possible. Because when we went up the break, we had someone here telling us that his daughter was given just 2 weeks to pay back. Yeah. And there are others who are in this situation. We must address it as quickly as possible.
Think government should look for money for the rents of...
No, if the problem... you see, that's what you know what I mean. You see, what I'm saying is, the things that are possible, you see, what you say that... adversity, unleashes creativity, all right? So there's a problem now. There has to be creative thinking. There has to be creative thinking. You can't expect...
But one thing, NANS has not galvanized anything about it. They have not come together to say, this is the situation students are facing. Yeah. We are the ones who are saying, we notice that there's this problem going on around. But even NANS and even ASUU, they have not come to articulate and even coalesce this sentiment into some kind of grievance to government to say this is what we are facing. How would the government even intervene if they know if they are not aware that this kind of thing is going on, if the problem is not presented to them? And then how do you aggregate them? Who do you want to take care of? You want to take care of those people who are paying accommodation in who are out of those who have paid.
All right. All right.
Why are you going to take care of it? I remember a case, just a second, when Fayemi was governor of Ekiti State. He was paying what they call it, this money to the monthly stipend to the poor families. Yeah. And when he lost the election bid, some of the complaints came that some people were complaining that you gave my neighbor 10,000 or 15,000 naira. You didn't give me. You are punishing me because you learned that my son is what they call it, a custom officer. So are you blaming me for making my son successful? It was a genuine complaint. They're saying that don't deprive me of the money because I succeeded. You are giving that one because she failed. You know? So that's what they're saying. So it's very difficult. So you can say, okay, I'm now paying school fees. I'm now paying school fees in a government institution, and you're not coming to subsidize it. So the one who is having private accommodation, who has better toilet, who has better cooking facility, who has a cleaner environment, you are going to help pay that person and not deprive me. Who working in
how
the...
do we resolve
how
that?
do you reconcile?
Okay, you see, you know, like I said, I'm thinking as a business person, okay? But the discussion is moving towards what can the government do? Okay, all right, good.
What is justice?
Okay, good. So the key thing there is that, I mean, basically, we have to swallow the bitter pill, you know, and if it's an individual transaction, you know, those are individual transactions. Of course, a number of people, a large number of students are renting outside. But immediately, like you said, what do we do now? It's for them to each parent go and discuss and negotiate with your landlord.
Exactly, come to that because
go and negotiate.
The schools are not saying the schools are not saying go and pay.
Yes.
Go and pay for backlog.
Yeah,
The schools are not saying so for those that are accommodating. It's the
even
private people that are saying so.
Good.
So in a sense, the school and the government is already subsidizing.
Good. But you see, it is because the school is not providing enough accommodation, I mean, for majority, that's why they are going to rent outside. For me, when I was in university, I finished university about 25 years or 26 years ago, I don't think I stepped into the male hostel up to 10 times because I didn't like that. I could afford to stay in a very nice place, you know, and I did that, okay? And like you said, I was one of those people that also had a car. So I was okay on my own. But there were so many people that were staying in hostels, okay? So if the schools can provide accommodation, the people having this issue now will not have the issue because those people who will go and rent outside, they are the ones that have the financial muscle to do so. So what am I thinking in my head and say, okay, if there's so much space, use Unilag for example, you know, there's a lot of space, you know, where you can put some hostels there. There is space. You go to Unilag and see. If the government wants to address this problem, like deal with it mid or long term, let's get some more hostels there. Put some more people there.
There's something about the university. University is not about just building up the whole place. There's also aesthetics. I remember in those days when I was in Ife, Shoyinka was complaining about the erection of new buildings in certain places in the university. And it was complaining. I don't know if you can remember now. But I remember there when it was saying that although some people describe us as accuse us of obscurities and impenetrable densities, he said, but he was talking, where is the greenery? Where is the aesthetics of company? No, I Shoyinka likes nature, you know. So what is it going to be? Everywhere is going to be built up. then what is school education about? Education is not just about buildings and he said the university idea is not about erecting building and all of that. University idea is also about greeneries, about creating an atmosphere that is good. He was talking about Ife, which is perhaps the best, the most beautiful campus, anywhere in Africa. It was also you can't just say that you want to build up everywhere, and then you think that you are creating education. It's also an environmental problem to do that. It's why in these days when we are conscious of environment. So you see now that the problem of education needs rethinking.
Yes.
Generally, we have more people than we have our capacity
for.
Yes, and when we are saying, and most governments are saying we want to build more universities, people are complaining, why are you building more universities? But there's also a problem. We have more people who want to. We have become like rats. Yeah. We are building children everywhere. As what they call it, the rich get richer and the poor are getting children. That's what we're having. So I get a situation where we have more people than we have capacity. And we want to open our campuses to have more people to enter so that more people can have opportunities. But we are devaluing even the capacity to even educate them well, because we have the teacher to student ratio is becoming very, very powerful.
Yeah. So how do we rethink our system quickly?
Because I said earlier, let's look at innovation. We have to start looking at e-learning modules. We can't get all of them in now. But we can do online. We can do our schooling online if we have the right infrastructure. Government tries to help, to make sure that they have a very good network that you'll be able to learn online, and they can reduce the numbers. Because if you keep on having them coming in, like the ones in already that are having accommodation issues, those are the ones we can be talking about. Okay, maybe we should look for. We don't want to crowd the schools with buildings, but where there is space, put some hostels there. But going forward, we should start thinking and looking at it. Must everybody come to that physical location to go to school? No. Right. A system can be designed. I believe that ASUU, having done this, the payment system that they've done, they can design a system in which you can have e-learning. And you see it's more convenient. It's more convenient for you to study online than for you to go physical. You don't need to pay for transport. You don't need to do a lot of things that money is. As parents, we know how much we spend.
I'm sure they'll be looking into other ways, innovations, or other innovative ways to addressing this matter. But we must leave the conversation here now. Ijiro Sagwa, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Sagwa. All right.
You always call me Sagwa, but I don't like to argue.
It's a global name.